And let me know if you can hear me, if we're okay. You can see me and you can hear me. Comment in the live section to make sure we don't have any more glitches. Anybody want to comment? Kara? Kara knows. Anybody want to comment? Let me know if we're live. If you can hear me, let me know. All right, so I'm going to presume at this point you can hear me because nobody's complaining that we don't have sound like the last video I just made a few minutes ago. Okay, so I did get somebody saying they could hear us. Great. All right, so let's begin the introduction of the video. A few introductions. My name is Jay. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com. I've had a career that's expanded across 26 years, due for retirement in January. I'm considered an expert in the field. I worked with law firms. I've worked speaker events. I've worked with probably 22,000 or more clients in my career. You can find us on Section8Consulting.com. And even when I retire, I will still continue to consult. Also, let's do a few introductions this morning for many of you that are pet lovers and cat fans before we get on the primary topic here. Little Mama is up there on the top of my chair. Second to that, one of our other office managers, Papa's, he's over there. He's a little bit bitter this morning. He's not having it. And then, of course, our newest little rescue from the Shell gas station. She's taking a nap right now, as you can see. So that's for you that are cat lovers and pet lovers. I realize if you don't have patience for this and you don't have a problem with me starting the video on a few personal topics, then you can just unsubscribe and get out, okay? This ain't for you. All right, so moving on from there. The primary topic we're going to be discussing this morning is going to be the new PHI release for November 17th. It's actually a little bit dated now, but it took a while to get this. So what it's going to do is transcribe essentially how HUD's going to deal with PHAs, how they're going to dictate what PHAs should do for 2026. I believe that you guys should know. Now, so far, the news has dictated the policy. It took quite a bit of FOIAs and open public requests to get the information, but I now have the director's report. It's right from the horse's mouth. And so let me go ahead and give you a couple links, guys, so you can follow along with me, because I think you're going to find this rather fascinating. We deal with a lot of issues next year, and that will be everything from changes to time limits, work requirements, defunding of continuum of care, and so on. And we talked about this extensively, but many of you showed an extreme interest yesterday and wanting to understand what the actual rules were directly from the source. So I've got that information available. PHI Notice 2025-8 issued November 17th. A little bit late to the game. Normally I get this stuff much earlier. So it's directly from HUD, okay? So we cannot question the mandate whatsoever. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a summary. That report's 13 pages. I'm not reading all that, and some of you may not even be able to interpret it, considering you don't do what I do for a living. But we're going to speak it in terms you can understand. So we're going to categorize this kind of like hurricanes again, category 1, 2, and 3. Now, every PHA has gotten this mandate, and this is how they're going to deal with how they're going to kick out roughly half the people in the country that are on Section 8 programs, Housing Choice Vouchers, Continuum of Care, Rapid Rehousing, Permanent Supportive Housing, Emergency Housing Vouchers, whether you're in a subsidy, low-income housing, affordable housing, Section 811, Section 202, it covers it all, okay? So before I do that, let's do a few warm-ups and give a few of you guys in live chat a shout out. Karen knows, good morning. Thank you for the cats and Jay. Veteran Gamer Dad, yes, good morning. Jill Bowman, hi from San Diego. Welcome, all of you from California. Seth, popping, dropping, no lobster gotten. Okay, well, I like that. 2 years max, Section 8. Well, that's for some, yes. And we have a few updates as well regarding veterans, which I'm going to be mentioning here shortly. So let's talk about Category 1. This is the edict, and this will apply. Now, to keep in mind that HUD's policies may change at any time. We witnessed that week to week since the beginning of the year. All right, but this is the mandate as of now. I'm going to pull it up real quick from my end. I had no interest in memorizing this, so. All right, I'm going to have to move the camera around a bit so I can read. A little bit more. There we go. All right, category 1, standard regulatory compliance. Looks like reviewing payment standards. PHAs must review HCB payment standards to remain with basic program range of 90 to 110% and applicable fair market rents. In other words, anybody getting extra right now that has a voucher, they're going to be reducing that. Okay. Many of you've got accommodations, you've got all kinds of bells and whistles attached to your vouchers. Well, a lot of that's fixing to go away unless absolutely necessary. They're going to be evaluating utility allowances and probably removing most of that because that represents roughly 8% of all housing choice vouchers, ensuring rent reasonableness. There are many places where landlords have managed to ask and get better rents than the market actually prescribes. And so not only will they be asking that landlords not only will they reduce the amount of vouchers, they'll reduce the payment out to the landlords, and they may offer lower rents altogether. Okay. Requesting voluntary rent adjustments. That's what they tell you. You owe a higher percentage than what was guaranteed. 30, 70 if you're extreme low income. Some of you pay more. So some of you may pay as much as 40% of your income towards your rent. That may be going higher now, despite the inflation on rents at current. Moving from there, they are giving the housing authorities first option on freezing all project-based housing. And so I know it's PBV, project-based voucher, but project-based is really not a voucher. It's more like it operates more like a subsidy than anything, because when you move in the building, you're kind of subsidized. And when you move out of project-based, it's really not that portable. So, and also they're given the option to document policies and administrative plans. So, in other words, they can rewrite policies now on the HAP contract, which would allow them to offer you a whole lot less in terms of what you're receiving currently. So, moving on from there, it's a lot. Okay, that's category 1. That's when the housing authority ask you to come in the office. They pull out a few stale donuts and then tell you this is a shakedown. Okay, we're not paying shit for your rent now. Now we're really not going to want to pay it for you. It's going to be a shakedown. So many of you that are up for the unfortunate souls are going to be getting a annual reinspection. Okay, that's when the shakedown is going to happen. And if yours happens to be a January 1st, 2026, God help you, because that's when the shakedown begins. All right. That's where they're going to offer a whole lot less on this. Look, across COC's market, 70% reduction. Across HUD and housing vouchers, 46%. They got to pull that money from somewhere. And so the only way they're going to be able to continue to hire prostitutes as caseworkers at the housing authority is if they continue to get you to pay more rent rather than them paying it. Okay. Somebody's got to be a caseworker, whether it's the local meth head or the prostitute or somebody off Craigslist. Housing authorities are not known for hiring them the nicest people. And so I use those extreme examples because I've dealt with them for over 20 years. And frankly, we could run an IQ test in a building, and I'm not impressed at all. I don't think any of y'all are either. In fact, if we looked at reviews for housing authorities out of all things in America, every type of business on the market, including Burger King and McDonald's, which are pretty low, even your gas station and homeless shelter are low. Housing authorities rank number 1 and worst reviews. Okay. So this isn't me imagining thing. If you're from the housing authority and you work there, please don't even try to argue the point that somehow you guys are doing prayer circles there, okay? Because you're not. The reviews tell a very clear and compelling truth about almost all housing authorities, except for exceptional cases. There are some housing authorities that operate ethically, but most of those are found throughout the Midwest and are smaller. Okay. So the reviews really do tell the truth. You don't get 1,500 reviews from pissed off people because you're serving Jesus and you're trying to help people. Okay. Not that that has to be the case here, but you see my point. Okay. Let's put the elephant in the room, but let's get back here. Let's digress. Let's go to stage 2. Okay. So Hurricane 1 blowing down your landscape. Hurricane 2, category 2 hurricane. That's when the housing authority is given even greater authority over this. And let's talk about that a bit. Additional actions that PHA may consider to lower program costs. Now, that's the government saying, hey, you know what? We're going to give you a check for half as much. And now we're going to give you rules on how you can screw all the people that you made a promise to. Okay. So as the hurricane category 2 hurricane blows in down the local housing authority, they may now just stop issuing vouchers altogether, revise occupancy standards and voucher size. So all you guys with living aids and different things like that might be getting an eviction notice. Okay. Living aids, care aids, and all that. That stuff may be a thing of the past. When the housing authority is going to cut it down, everybody that's in that house under that voucher, whether they're using it or not, look, they're going to. If I had to be the evil one to do it, I would look at it and I'd say, okay, so we got a family here, so there's only 2 adults. The voucher should be for 2 adults. Don't worry about the children; they don't get to count against the rent, and so they may do that. I would never do that, but personally, but I'm just saying, if I had to think in the same horrible terms of PHA, they'll probably no longer consider children people. Thus, they don't have to pay additional rents. And also, they're going to want you to cram all your children in one bedroom. So you got K through 12 all in one bedroom, basically. Your living room all of a sudden becomes a bedroom, like in California. And so you may see that gambit play out as well. One thing I want you guys to keep in mind is the video is about opening ideas, okay? So please don't engage in warfare in the live chat about politics. We don't need it. 2, let's not start assigning blame. I haven't hired anybody that's a judge, okay, that come in here and start judging. You want to do that shit, go somewhere else, okay? So it's about sharing ideas, but doing it respectfully. So let's not de-evolve into a bunch of wild monkeys in the jungle, tearing it up, okay? We don't need to do all that. This is to trade ideas, so just no matter what party side you're on, just keep it civil, okay? If you can't do that, I'll put you out. All right, so stop issuing vouchers altogether, revise occupancy standards, and terminate HAP as a last resort. Now, look, when you you give the option to terminate the HAP at last resort, it'll usually be the first resort. And so first on the hit list is all project-based housing. The notice specifically states that PHAs must first attempt other cost-saving measures. In other words, you're going to call the phone number that you gave them in 1983. They're going to ring it one time, and when you don't pick up, they're going to move right on to termination, okay? Let's not make any mistakes. How many people in here have a Housing Choice Voucher and received a letter to an address that you had 62 years ago, or they called the phone number you gave them in 1961? How many people, despite you giving them updates, they did that, right? That's how PHAs sit around the board in their office, have board meeting. Okay, we see Nancy when she came in the program. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like she never gave us 13 different updates, and then we're going to purge her out the system by using an old address she gave us. And then we're going to pretend like we didn't know nothing about that. And I have hundreds of examples of that game, okay? That's why I tell you guys, phone conversations with PHAs are worthless. The better to defend yourself, make sure you have a material record by text and by using a tracking number with all communication. Housing authority calls you, hang up. Go straight to email. Oh, I saw you called. Would you like to start talking as a matter of record now? You don't need to tell them that, but you better do that. Because a lot of you guys are going to get in trouble next year. Our office is already getting flooded with the number of shady things that are happening. When you give these kind of options on a menu and there's little oversight, it means they need virtually little energy to just start terminating contracts. Now, prior this year and going back in history, they had to prove quite a bit in order to terminate, okay? whether they invented it or not. This is a license to simply terminate people for very little reason, and they've got the stamp of approval from HUD. Okay, so it's going to be a wild party. So moving back, category 3. So Hurricane 3 blows in town. Now we're going to get the worst of the worst, or potential cost. They call it cost savings. No, it's really you're evicting a bunch of children, veterans, and seniors is what you're doing. But you can call it whatever. You can spend the shit any way you want to. Rescinding vouchers issued to applicants. That's it. It seems like about the same thing, doesn't it? Whether you get a voucher, you've used it for a few months, it gets rescinded, or they terminate your contract. So they got you every way going now. They got you coming and going. So let's see the requirements in order for them to just kill that for you. Rescinding issued voucher to applicants in certain circumstances, PHA may work with the HUD field office to consider pulling back vouchers that have already been issued to applicants who have not yet leased up their voucher. This is where, now looking at what I know, and for as long as I've been in this field of work, this is what a license to do something very basic. Let's talk about the amount of search time you have, okay? So respectfully, at current, over half the vouchers in America that are issued never get used. Okay. And the primary reason is housing authorities give 1 to 3 months. Most of you don't even know how to file for an extension, much less the fact that you could file up to 3 extensions for no total greater than 6 months. But most of you don't do that. This is giving them a different license. Now we're going to give impossible search timelines. Oh, well, congratulations. We gave a voucher. We're going to pop champagne with the governor. That way we look really good. We've given out 90 million vouchers at the housing authority. But here's the deal. You get 3-day search time. Now, is it true? Now, I'm giving an extreme example, okay? Because I want to show you just how big of an asshole housing authorities can be. So 2 months, 3 months, they may eliminate that. You got 30 days flat. In other words, there's no sleep. You should be applying for apartments in your nightgown and slippers, okay? And so extensions, they don't do that no more. They're not doing the hair salon's closed. They're not doing extensions, okay? So we've given, now HUD's given the housing authorities a license to pretty much violate everybody for anything. So how well do you think this is going to work out? We can Indian give a voucher. We can terminate you for very little or no cause now and get the stamp of approval from HUD. We can give you impossible search times, giggle and then hang up and then purge you out of the system and say, well, we call the phone number you gave us in 1961. It doesn't seem to be working. Well, we wrong 1 second. I told you need to be up and awake in your house slippers 24 hours a day. You should have the phone glued to your ear. There'll be no sleep, rest. If you even go to use the restroom and we call, too bad. You're in the shower, too bad. You better get a waterproof phone. We expect that when we call, you answer on the toilet, in the shower, in jail, in prison, in the cop car. Any failure to comply, you're terminated. This is what all of it says, madness. So 2026 is all about operating in the Wild West. So HUD's now given the madhouse unlimited license to just do what the fuck ever they want to do. And they need little cause for it. And then we can open up lots of investigations to HUD, right? But they signed it, so you have no argument. So the only thing left now is to sue housing authorities, And so clearly, does anybody read this any differently than me? I mean, of course, I'm presenting the subject matter in an extreme manner. Okay, that's all about you two. Okay, let's have a little showmanship. But really, do you read it any other way? Okay. Does anybody here, can anybody read bullshit in between the lines? All right. Does this read any other way? Okay. So I'm just saying, if it does, let me know in the live. Let me know. All right. So I'm going to move on back to comments here. I see you guys are in a tizzy. I got everybody wound up tight. Little Mom and Papa's, Karanos, thank you for the emojis. Joe Bowman, meow. Thank you for that comment. The cats will certainly enjoy it. Set 2 years max Section 8, possibly, or less. Remember, 2-year vouchers, work requirements, and time limits are not a guarantee. What's to stop them from allowing you in and then 38 minutes later kicking you out? Okay. So these are all high potentials. We don't know. We don't know how housing authority is going to operate, because when there's 4,200 of them, you got 4,200 housing authorities, tens of thousands of employees, almost all of them with little or no training. They don't read their own administrative plans. They violate Title 24 and people's Fourth Amendment rights every day. It's basically, we're only guilty if you can catch us kind of attitude. And now the HUDs, the feds are granting an unlimited license to pretty much kick anybody out of housing, whether they're coming and going. We may see the great reduction of search time. And so those are possibilities. We don't have to go very far. It's the 7th. I mean, 3 more weeks, we'll see whether or not the housing authority operates ethically. I've had 26 years experience with them, so I'm pretty sure they're going to act real ethically. I can just see they're already discussing how they're morally going to handle everything. And so I don't know what to say about any of this anymore. It's we really are in such a disingenuous situation. We've now let the nuts run the madhouse. I really couldn't have seen this one coming. We've we have written director's reports of PHI results at the feds that pretty much allow PHAs to savagely abuse just about anybody throughout the system, in addition to lack of funds. All they need is really just an accusation to say, hey, by the way, there's a lack of funding. Therefore, category 1 and category 3 apply. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Moving back to comments. Oh, so by the way, why don't we get the link? So social proof is important. Let me wind this down. So on what authority do I speak? I speak on the authority of HUD. Okay. There's a link to it. 13 glorious pages of directions. I only summarize this. You'll have a rather bittersweet day as you read through that. The video is just a summary of concept, but this outlines it in its entirety. And as you'll see, the PIH 2025, issued November 17th, outlines the notice from November 17th, and it also will allow amendments to be superseded and rescinded. In other words, because the feds are the feds, they can rewrite the rules anytime they wish. This is the most current copy. It gives you purpose, background. It also includes additional federal languages, PHA actions to reduce HCV programs. It goes in highly detailed section IB for shortfall funding, and then it goes through all the categories and links. So you really can't miss much here. You can't question it either, because the edict's directly from the federal government. But I know there's going to be a few lunatics in the channel in the live chat today. Well, where'd you get that from? I just told you. So if you're a dingbat, please unsubscribe, go to another channel. I have time for dingbats today. Anybody know what a dingbat is? I hope it isn't something derogatory, but hey, we are talking about bats. All right, moving on back. Karen knows. Let's see. Seth. Kelly pulled down his voucher to live in the White House. There's certainly lots of room in there, right? I don't know that moving in the White House is a solution, but we got a big ballroom. We can make apartments in there. I don't know if President Trump's going to agree to that. We should probably contact the White House and ask if they will accept the Section 8 voucher, if they can subsidize part of some of those bedrooms. Margaret Harris, about time to go work, have all these kids and baby daddies. That was 1983. Now we're a different generation. People don't work at all. She was partially right, Margarita. And I meant that jokingly. Look, guys, be careful when you talk about children, okay? Because I hear people talking like that. I explain to y'all in many of my videos, my grandmother on her side was 17, and my grandfather, there were 22 children. Even my aunt had 12. So if anybody's got some shit they want to say in the channel, I will help you find your way out of here, seriously. Okay? Whether it's Section 8 or not. We're talking about humans, and, we need to get I need you guys to focus more on the realities of being human. There are people that are born with no eyesight, no legs, disabilities they didn't ask for, and so if we become disingenuous and inhuman in our commentary in this channel, I'll put your ass out. Okay, I'm not going to subscribe to that, but I get the point. But I'm also going to put people out for making prejudicial comments, racist comments. I've got people call me and they think the things they tell me on the phone's okay until I hang up on their ass. I'm not going to tolerate that. Okay, just because your ass is white and you call my office don't mean I'm going to agree with your South Alabama politics or prejudicial behavior. So don't bring that shit to my office. I'm not going to agree with you. If anything, you get told off and hung up on. So I'm just setting that record straight. Don't come to me with that racist shit. All right, moving up there. Government username Oral J. Yep, I'm oral today. I keep trying to wake up my fuzz there, but my office manager's not working today. All my office managers are sleeping. Let's check on Kiki again. See if she's waking up for us. Where's she at? There she is. No, see, just like HUD, bunch of useless bastards. But they're my cats and I love them. So moving on down. Age limit 64. Bow. That's it. Bend the knee, baby. The king and queen. Muskogee land should be better for us. It could be. Oh, so the additional news update that I want to give you guys, and it's unfortunate I have to tell you this. HUD has determined that they will not listen carefully. They're not going to defend HUD Bash. If you are a veteran and you're on a voucher, you're subject to the policy. I'm sorry. I know you served your country. Some of you are in the wheelchairs after serving our country. Some of you missing legs, arms, eyes, all kinds of things. They don't see fit to recognize you as a human. Therefore, they're going to take your voucher. You're not a protected class. They made that announcement already. I will publish more about that. I think that's sickening, but that is the reality. In another update, I talked about how states were suing. Virtually every state's suing now, and I think there's roughly 1,400 organizations suing. So there is a tidal wave of lawsuits to prevent some of these edicts, the rules of going in place. Okay, but it's probably a little too late at this point. All right, Karen knows diabolical work. Well, that's life. That's everyday life. Let's go on from here. Sherry goes on to say, I might as well get me storage shed in a tent. Guys, you don't need to react yet, okay? We're discussing the potentials of 2026. We're talking about rules and policies rolling out. It doesn't mean in the end it's going to be you, okay? This is one of those red light moments where you're made aware of something. There's little you can do to change it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to include you, okay? So everybody stop with the whole I'm going to pack my shit and move into the mini storage thing. You don't need to do that. I'm just letting you know that this is direct reports directly from HUD. These are high potentials, okay? And dealing with housing authority, I already know how they operate. So it's not like we're expecting them to be reasonable. They weren't reasonable to start with. Now we're giving them a license to do whatever. Okay? So with the lack of funding, people have to go. And in the end, there's only 2 protected classes right now. If you have a verified disability, now many of you have heard me discuss that disability had a lower standard under HUD. So there's disability where you receive a payment, and then there's disability under HUD where you don't need as much evidence. We're waiting to find out what the rule is going to be. To tighten the noose, they may decide that the only people that are considered disabled are people that receive payment. I don't know yet. We're waiting to find out. If I had to think in awful terms, how do you cut the bat out the system? That'd probably be one of them they were going to go after. So we'll have to see. Mind Garden, well said. Thank you. Alicia, I had a similar experience with the landlord. When you don't work for it, you don't pay pay what it's worth, then you don't care about it. Yep, true. Protected divinely, that's terrible. Bob, the U.S. Army vet doesn't accept anyone with an IQ less than 86. The Army has no jobs. I understand. I do understand. Let me tell you something, guys. There's a reason behind my hostility with housing authorities, okay? When you serve as many people as I have, over 20,000, okay, and you get involved in a minimum of 100 lawsuits, have to speak to the Legal Aid Society and train attorneys to battle PHAs. And it's not the PHA itself that I have a problem with. It's the fact that we're training people with literally no education whatsoever. We're throwing them in a position. They're not reading through any manuals. They're not looking at an administrative plan. They're keenly unaware. You know how many conversations I've had with a PHA, get on the phone with a caseworker, and I would verbatim federal law to them, and they would deny that fucking law even exists. And then wish me well, as if to mean that they were now superseding federal rules. That as long as they had deniable plausibility, that there could be no way that they could be wrong. No admission of guilt. And so you deal with this baffling territory of dealing with housing authority. And you got people there. I made a comment one day, one housing authority employee came in the channel. We get lots of them. And some of these housing authority employees are excellent. So it's not a hit on you personally as a caseworker. If you're good, this is a hit on the housing authority itself, because the lack of training, empathy, and some of the nefarious behavior. And if I'm wrong about this, then why is our channel reported over 100 housing authorities, 100 plus, that have been involved in federal indictments, from everything from theft to insolvency, stole all the money, and literally had to close the housing authority? If the housing authority is operating so wonderfully, then why does all PHAs rank amongst the lowest in Google reviews? Why are there tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, that have filed millions of complaints if you guys are doing such a fabulous job at the housing authority? So don't take it personally. If you just took a job with the housing authority and your heart and your soul's into this, you want to help people, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to all the other actors out there that will eventually train you to be a monster if you allow them. The best thing you can do, if you're going to take a job at that housing authority, ask for them to turn over their administrative plan, learn what Title 24 is, read through all the legislative codes, learn what the Fourth Amendment is. And when you finish with that, go over to Nana McKay that underwrites all your policies and ask them personally for training. Stop allowing people at the housing authority that manage it that have turned to the dark side, and their only goal is driven by money, the conflict of interest, money versus the human soul. But instead of doing all these things that I'm suggesting to the new PHA employees that just got hired off Craigslist, the little girl that was the Pride Daddy at McDonald's is now a caseworker, over 800 souls, and you're being trained by a monster, and you're not even double checking that shit. That's why the average PHA employee only lasts 60 days. How would I know that? We've consulted not only hundreds of employees, but also former directors of some of the largest PHAs in the nation. That's how I know. That authority I speak. So, some advice. You go work for the housing authority, do your due diligence. Don't worry about what the people are telling you, because you'll end up in court. You could end up with my company against your ass. You could end up getting a judgment against you. There's a lot of things that happen. You could end up violating federal rights. You could end up in federal court. Even worse, you could be complicit in violating people's federal rights, and you could end up in prison, okay? So be careful the advice you take for those people that have a PhD. Trust me, honey, if somebody went to college, wrote their thesis, and got a PhD, and they work at the housing authority, they completely fucked their life up, okay? Nobody goes, oh, mommy, I'm going to go on a doctor and go work for the shithole at the housing authority. If you're working there with a PhD, it's because you barely making it, honey buns. Ain't nobody got no fucking respect for shit you're saying. You don't even have the PhD at the car wash. You're at the lowest shit in the planet. So don't come to me about your fucking PhD. It's toilet paper. If you knew anything, you wouldn't be there. Okay? Let's call it the way we need to see it here. Let's speak honestly. So, oh yeah, I got an MBA in what? Bullshit? And ruining people's lives? Why aren't you using that somewhere else? Why aren't you at a Fortune 500? Why are you in the worst job on the planet? Because you're no good. You fucked your life up. Now you work at the housing authority for 6 and a fucking quarter, ruining people's lives. Be honest with yourself. You got a problem? Bring it to my channel. We'll talk about it. We could sit in the same room. We'll go toe to toe and we'll debate on federal code, legislations, policy, and procedure, and I'll fucking destroy you because you don't know any of that. Bring one of your PhDs. I'll destroy them too. Let's see how long a director of a housing authority and I can compete in that conversation. You will fucking get wrecked. That's what I'm saying. That's what 26 years delivered. I didn't grow up one day going, Mommy, I want to be a Section 8 consultant. I decided I wanted to help people, and I'm having to help against other people because this has turned into a gambit. It's a syndicate. We're housing authorities allowed to operate lawlessly above everybody. And now they've been given a license to pretty much violate people's rights. As long as we can prove it's no longer profitable. If I'm lying about this and anybody here has received the touch of Jesus in the building, if anybody's pleased and wants to go over and hand out a fucking golden award to the housing authority, please shout it out now. I love everybody at the housing authority. I have gotten all that I wish and desire. Most of you can't even call them. They've already thrown their flip phones in the toilet. Nobody answers the phone. Am I telling the truth? Anybody had that experience? Anybody been talked to badly on the phone? Anybody been given a runaround? Can anybody get anything from the housing authority in terms of information? These are the people, that receive billions of dollars, and their only interest is building a portfolio of project-based housing to suck money out of it. So we sponsor the prostitute, the drug dealer, and now we're going to give out a golden pass for 2026 to pretty much terrorize everybody. And now we're telling the veterans, oh, by the way, thank you for taking a bullet to your head. Fuck off. Go beat your feet on the sidewalk. You're not in our tax base. You're not important to us. Matter of fact, we might put you on a plane out of here. You've outlived your fucking usefulness. You're not going to keep a voucher. You're unimportant. Oh, you're sick. You're retired. Well, you're not part of the tax base. You got to go, Flo. We don't do you anymore either. You don't deserve a voucher. So again, there is only two protected classes at this point, 62 and questionably whether or not a person's disabled. And I'm waiting for the rules on that. I'm sure Hitler is sitting in the office room over there at the housing authority, figuring out how meticulously they're going to violate everybody over their disabilities. So I guess for 2026, my office will be consulting on hundreds, if not thousands, of cases that will go to court. Not that we're having any shortage, because nearly every state, nonprofit, and homeless shelter is suing right now. Okay, so I tell you guys, I retire in January. To what degree? There weren't a lot of me left after all these years. How many consultants do you think have been in the field that still exist after 26 years? There's very few. I mean, you go on Google, man, you might find 2 or 3 in every state, and half of them don't even want to deal with the tenant. They only want to enrich themselves on the landlord. They don't deal with tenant issues. You tell them, oh, I'm schizophrenic, they hang up. We don't deal with mental illness here. If you talk funny, look funny, act funny, nope, sorry, can't help you. We only take normal Christians here. Yeah. So you think my policies are tough? I don't take no shit off clients either, but at least I'll work with people, bipolar, schizophrenic. Look, you got a fucking meltdown and rip your panties off running the lawn. I don't care. As long as you don't do it during a consult. I tell you, look, if you're having a moment, babe, look, call back in an hour when you got your shit back together. Okay? Call me from the jail. Okay? Just don't do that number with me. I'm not, because even people that suffer from issues understand, they're sane sometimes. They know that. Okay? Nobody's criminally insane here. So I just tell my client, look, wait till you're operating at your best. If you feel like you're going to be a strong manipulator today, don't call my office, because I'll call you on your bullshit, okay? If you're going to be rude and you think I'm Amazon, you think I'm an Amazon rep, and you somehow going to abuse me or indenture me, oh, I pay you, therefore you should kiss my slippers, then I'll tell you to fuck off and terminate your case. I just did it to a lady. She started mouthing off after 7 days in the case. I was within days of actually getting ready to do a court action for her. And then she started running that mouth. And guess what? I gave her the highway. I don't have time. You don't, honey, you don't sit out there in the middle of the ocean, okay, with a raft. You're drowning, and then tell me while I'm on the boat trying to save your ass, oh, well, you'll do exactly that's how I prescribe. I don't play that game, okay? That's part of the reason why I can serve everybody. We have an understanding. I'll deal with batshit crazy up to a point. But when you dictate how, when, and so on, I'm not going to do that. So that's many of you guys wonder why I'm so much different than other people speak on the subject matter. Now you understand my everyday office. It's impossible to be professional. Think about that for a minute. If you were in my job right now and you had to deal with people that are prostitutes, drug dealers, people that are high, people that have extreme mental health issues, and you can't reach them in monotone professional white man, then how do you do it? You got to get down in the hood. You got to get down in the trailer park. Sometimes you got to use profanity to snap them out. And so I carry my message many ways. And what I found to be most effective is just be real. Speak in a way that everybody can understand. If that's displeasing to people here, then walk in my shoes for about a mile, deal with my clients, and we'll see how long your ass is professional. I'm not worried about professional. I'm worried about whether or not people have housing and dealing with people that are already victims becoming abused by a system. The only way I can do that is to make sure the clients understand that, hey, cut the shit, okay? You want to play games? That's fine. Cut the shit when you deal with me. I don't. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. A lot of you do. The ones that don't have to be here. There are lots of people that will whisper sweet little things in your ear in many channels. They do the hair, lipstick, they come out talking in perfect tone. They got a suit and tie. They never skip a beat. Look, I'm not here to entertain. Being a Section 8 consultant requires me to get real. You want to fucking entertain? There's lots of them on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So moving on back. There's a lot of comments. Hopefully that's food for thought. Good morning, everyone. Talia. Exactly, elderly divinely. Bella Cruz, the executive director, doesn't know how the PHA that he runs works. Insane. That happens occasionally. Bernice, just wanted to say thank you for helping us keep us informed. Thank you. I appreciate just acknowledgement. Okay. Sam, it's just against the billionaires, not us. Well, I don't agree or disagree on that. My legacy, laughing emoji for the monster. Government username, you got to do the work for them. Yeah, truly. You know what? I could throw my phone in the ditch if the housing authority would actually just explain a little bit. Most of the calls my office gets because people don't even understand how to do anything. They're relying on Google, and Google can't tell you either, not sufficiently. My legacy, Bella, the same here. My legacy is going on. Bunch of comments. Tamara, disabled, 60 years old. What about transferring Section 8? So that's also part of the administrative plan for 2026. They can eliminate portability, billing and absorbing if they wish. So it will be at will. The thing about it is, let's give an example. City of Houston, City of Dallas. Say you want to port from the City of Houston to the City of Dallas to a different housing authority. That will require that housing authority to spend its good money to move your ass to another county, okay? And new rules say they don't really have to do that. If their money is going to leave their budget and go to a different county to port you, the housing authority doesn't necessarily have to approve that under the new plan, okay? All right, so MBR 11. I love how the cat is just sleeping. You guys, if y'all love cats, dogs, and different things, you love my channel. These are not actors. My cats are not actors. They really do love me. I hope they do. At least I think they do. And yep, she's passed out cold. Here. You show those pretty holes in my chair? That's all that love and compassion from Kiki. My Kikis and Chi-Chis. The Kikis are the boys and the Chi-Chis are the girls. And I've had this chair about 9 months and they popped a million fucking holes in it. So I always say you can own cats or you can own nice things. You can't own both, okay? Anytime their little toes touch that pleather on that chair, it's game over. I about had a few strokes in the background. I'd be sleeping and I hear pop noise. I'm like, oh, that wonderful. There's a new $400 chair. It's now been aerated. Keg. Now that's cool. Cat on the chair. Yep, she's very chill. All my cats are very chill. American 1476. Good morning. I got an attitude from the Starbucks person. I'll look. You know what? I'm gonna be very honest. I've been put out of about 3 local businesses in my area because I decided to do something most people don't do publicly, and that's I responded to ugliness back. The vet's office called the police on me. Okay. Yeah, well, I had a few words with that lady. She spoke with impunity, and I'm like, look, lady, you don't know what I do for a living. I deal with people talk shit all day. So on my day off, I have this hostile white woman, big woman too, Amazon woman there. And she begins to try to hand me my ass. And I'm just thinking, I haven't had much sleep. The cats have woke me up all night. Now you want to smack your fucking lips? We're going. And I just went off the deep end. Next thing I know, that's all. Well, I got the police out there. Okay, well, no more of that. Same thing happened at the diner. I got another little white chick bringing up my food, and she wouldn't let me speak. I was not permitted to ask any questions, right? So you always know things are fixing to go bad when somebody says the words, you know what? And I lost it because I was tired. I just wanted a simple breakfast, but she was trying to control the whole thing. I didn't go there for S&M. I just wanted eggs, bacon, and a biscuit. This woman was trying to control everything. And I was like, there we go again. So yeah, I've been banned from a few places because honestly, the same rules I have throughout the company, I applied to main life. And if I can only do business in half my town, then that's the way it goes. I just don't have time for bullshit. I just don't. And people that try to do all these crazy things, I'm the customer. It's my money. I'm going to spend the way I want, right? So I'm sorry. I dragged you all a bit in my personal business, put my business in the street. Legacy, High Pella Georgian. YouTube 1970 as a cat mom too, giving up on the furniture and accepted love. Yep. You know what I heard? If you look at the corner there, well, there's no easy way to do this here. See that little red dish down there? Yesterday, the cat took off and got the crazies, jetted up the shelf, and I heard the shatter. Nothing worse when you're sitting in the bathroom and you hear shit break. Okay, it's like a bull in a china shop. So the new cat got the crazies. She flew up on the glass shelves, and I just saw my life pass before me. All my shit's gonna be shattered, and I'm sitting on the toilet. Can't do a damn thing about it. Just sitting there, and you can hear all your shit just being shattered. It's all fucking confetti now. So sorry, that's life, isn't it? All right, I'm gonna cut it out. Enough profanities. I just thought some of you might enjoy a little bit of humor at the end of the video. So, anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. Make sure that I get you guys a link. So we're gonna do a summary link. Those short readers don't want to hear me carry on like an old bag lady. This will be the link you want. It summarizes everything. Number 2, we do PHI Notice directly. 13 pages of pure glory of how the U.S. government is now going to permit housing authorities to completely screw you. There you go. And send. Hopefully you got those. So those are 2 you want to focus on. One, versions for those with short attention spans and ADA. The second one's for those of you that are legal beagles that need to dissect every letter. You're going to enjoy that. You can sit down with a cold beer and think about how well that's going to do you. That's a direct report directly from HUD's director, okay? So that's not toilet paper. It'll serve your purpose. Moving on from there. I hope you all enjoyed it. I always try to include a little comedy in there. Sometimes it's profanity laced. Oh, well, life goes on. We all get bored and want to be a little bit humorous. So Karen knows it's good seeing you back. Laisha, cat stores are hilarious. Thank you. And it looks like we covered all the rest. MA, stand, music, counseling. I process SSA claims in my office. Question. I see many voucher holders, especially from Florida, getting in trouble. or someone living in the home, not on the voucher, gets mad and moves to Georgia. That's a high potential. That's one thing this administration, including President Trump's trying to address. There are many people with vouchers that are hosting a number of people that are not on the lease. So they're utilizing the pleasure of federal funds under a different person living in the house while they remain completely anonymous. And so HUD is expected that all PHAs review that. If they see anybody come and go from homes or apartments where a voucher is being used, all the other people that are residing there without being under HAP contract need to go. If you don't, then you run the risk of what they're doing in project-based housing. That's where there's 4 to 5 separate federal agencies that are now starting to visit project-based housing, and they're going in without warrant. They're going warrantless and to pull people out. So you've got Bob's got a voucher, and because he has some accommodations, he somehow ends up with a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. But it turns out Bob isn't the only one living there. He's decided to let part of his family move in there. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. And even if it's permitted, it likely will not be permitted after that. Okay. So definitely take note. It's good to see somebody from the Social Security office here, especially ones that approves and denies claims. It's always good to have good material contacts throughout the government. I know my channel gets a lot of inclusionary questions revolving around disability and disability payments and all that, though I'm not an expert at issues, or nor do I practice federal rules under the SSA administration, only HUD, different federal agencies. So I'm glad we had somebody here join us today in our live chat from the Social Security Administration. Well, guys, I really, really enjoyed talking with you. And I think that we've been able to get the message out a bit. For those that were displeased with some of the profanities, that's just how life goes. The real message has been delivered, okay? And you can examine that at your own will. We will be talking more as we approach 2026 to get more real. So Sunday video is a little bit more loose and relaxed. If you're looking for something more concise, visit our channel during the week. There's a whole lot less, jokes and other things in the video that may displease you or your religion, okay? Or a little bit more factual. The videos are shorter. Otherwise, Sundays are pretty an open mic, and I like to be as genuine as I can with clients and people on our channel, okay? So with that being said, I wish you guys a great day. Little mama says hello to you guys. She's waking up now. She's ready to perform her job. So she'll go and monitor everybody in the house. Have a blessed day. Happy holidays, guys.